Okay, welcome back. So today we're in my front yard and I've got all of my equipment laid out in the cases, which is what we should be before we're ready to set up. So I've got my mount, my tripod, my two counterweights behind me. I've got my OTA, my battery box, and my imaging train. So when you're setting up, first thing you want to do is find roughly north, which I know is in this direction there. Normally I'd use my phone and put it on the tripod and line it up exactly north, but since I'm using my phone to record, we're going to simulate that. So with this tripod, I know, and each tripod's going to be different, but if you've got the SkyWatcher CQ350, this little knob right here is in the direction of north. So you want that facing north, which I believe is right about there. I usually give it a little push, make sure my legs are extended. I'm going to have a spreader bar, which will ensure they're extended all the way, but for now, this will do. I've got a bubble level, so right now I am way off to the right. So I'm gonna actually, I'll take this leg in. All right, this one's pretty close. And then I'm a little back, so, or a little forward rather. So I need to bring it back just a little bit more. There we go. So now I've got my tripod leveled. So the first thing you want to do is point it generally north and get it nice and level. With a any kind of magnetic compass, it's going to point to magnetic north. True north is going to be off. It could be exactly on magnetic north, but chances are it's going to be off either one way or the other. So you're going to have to compensate for that using your right and left, your right and left controls on your telescope when you go to align it. So now that I have my mount on, or my tripod, I'm going to put my spreader bar on it. Spreader plate. If you're doing this in the winter, I wouldn't be as reckless on taking this bolt off. Wouldn't want to get snow in it. But just in my front yard, and still fall time, so should be good. Now this isn't actually going to spread it until I get my mount attached, but I just want to get the spreader bar on there so I don't forget, or spreader plate rather. Next thing is the mount. Now for me, the way I have to pack it is I've got to take my bolt and first of all put it on the right way and take it all the way out. So before I attach it to the tripod, I back off one of my adjusting screws. So I try to get it lined up as good as I can. Then I screw it in from the bottom. Again, when doing this, just do it snug. We'll tighten it up after we pull or align. Then I usually, once I get the mount snug down, I usually tighten down my spreader plate just to make sure my legs are fully extended, and then I back it off. I back both of these off so I have some play in my mount. The reason you want to have play is when you're aligning, you're going to need to adjust it left and right so you can get it perfectly polar aligned. The next thing for me, this is going to depend on how you pack your mount, is, as I mentioned, one of the adjustment screws I have to take out for it to fit in my case. So I got to screw that in. Now, another sanity check that I have is I also have a bubble level on my mount itself. So as I'm screwing it in, I'll check that and make sure they're both lined up, which they are. Usually I try to get the two adjustment screws about the same number of threads apart. The next thing I have are two bolts that have washers on them that also secure the mount to the tripod. So I put those in, again, just finger tight. Since these have washers, be extremely careful not to drop these. And again, we don't want to tighten these down because we're going to be moving the mount left and right. Now with this, I've got 4 bags of different bolts that I use to set up my rig. I got these from Target actually, and they're reusable Ziploc bags, and they're color coded. I have red, green, blue, and purple, and I use them in that order. So red, green, blue, I remember that just like the old VGA days of computers. You always went red, green, blue. So that's how I remember it, whatever order you want to put it in. If you want to do alphabetical, whatever works for you. And then purple is just the last one I use. So after you have these just snug down enough so your mount can still move, but it's still attached nice and firmly, I keep this in my back pocket. This also has an Allen wrench, so I can snug these down after we pull or align. Okay, forgot a step. Next thing you want to do is adjust your altitude to the approximate latitude that you're at. So for me, it's about 42 degrees. So up we go, 30, 40, about 42. Again, it's not critical that it's exact. Your polar alignment will tell you exactly how high you want to be. Next thing you want to grab is my weight bar, my counterweight bar. So that's going to be the green bag. Again, red's first, next is green. This has 2 positions that you can put it in. One will be at, this is obviously more exaggerated angle, but one will be an angle about like this, one will be about like this. I like to have it in the downward angle. I don't know the difference. If somebody wants to comment, I'm sure it has something to do with the weights themselves, although it doesn't really matter. It shouldn't, but I always put it in the downward. So one thing to take notice is when you're putting these bolts in, for me, I actually cross-threaded these, and I had to retap and re-die both the bolts and the holes, and that is not for the faint of heart. So be very careful when you're putting these bolts in if you've got a CQ350. Now with these are not going to be moving during our setup, so you can feel free to tighten these down. I like to have these fairly tight. Again, in the bag that I keep, the green bag that has the bolts, also contains the appropriate Allen key, so I don't have to go fishing around for it. I just give it a firm snug so that doesn't move at all. Now, granted, the mount's moving, but the bar's not moving relative to the mount. Okay, the next thing that I'm going to do is actually I'm going to do it out of order. I use my purple one. All that has is a simple RJ45 cable. And the reason I have this is if I was just using a hand control, I could plug it into the front hand control port, but I don't. I have an EQ mod cable. The EQ mod cable comes into a port on the top declination plate. So when I release the clutch on this thing spins back and forth. So this is in the declination axis. In order to prevent a cable snag, my OTA is connected to that. So I want everything connected to, that's going into the mount, connected through this declination plate. Or this declination, I guess plate's as good as word as in anything. And so I've got power and my EQ mod cable. So the EQ mod is what controls the mount itself. So that goes into aux 3, which is the only RJ45. And then that, I've got just a simple straight through RJ45 is just a network cable, a short one. I think it's a 1-footer. And that goes from aux 3 into the hand control. Okay, so the next thing I will connect up is my weights. You always want to connect your weights up before you connect your OTA, just in case your clutches fail, you forgot to tighten your clutches, you put your OTA on it, you take your hands off of it, and it slides and it crashes into the side of your tripod. You definitely don't want that, and wasting, thousands of dollars of equipment. So I know about, through trial and error, where my balance point is for both of my weights. It's not perfect, but it's good enough that when I let go, my telescope's not going to go flying. And I'm also extremely careful every time that I take my hands off of it, that I do it very gently. So put your weights about where you need them. If you're hesitant or it's your first time doing it, put them lower. The more weight you have at the bottom, the more the mount's going to want to stay and not move as much. So the counterweights are, the farther you have them on the bar, the more weight it's offsetting. So the more likely it's going to seek this neutral plane. Don't forget to put in your stop bar, your stop screw. If for some reason these screws give way, they're not going to fall and hit you on the foot. Both those are 22 pounds. They could break a toe. Okay, at this point, I think we're ready for the OTA. Yep. So my OTA, it's in the bag. I put a link in a previous video on all of my equipment and bags and stuff. So the way I have it packed, I need to remove my dew shield. Okay, I'm back. So if for some reason you're not storing it with your lens cap on, I highly recommend storing with your lens cap on. But when you're installing it and removing it, putting the lens cap on makes it much easier. So you can see where my thumb is to help align it. I usually crouch down a little bit, align the low span D plate, and if I've removed it before, then it should be approximately loose enough for it to not have to loosen it anymore to slide it in. Okay, these don't have to be super tight at this point. You want them tight enough where it's not going to slide out, but you don't need to wrench them down quite yet. Another thing is, so my EQ mod cable, I mentioned that's an RJ45, so when I store it, I actually plug it in to my ASI Air RJ45 port as well. And the reason is I was noticing that the little tab for the cable was getting snagged every now and again. It hasn't broken off yet, but it's getting a little delicate now. So I'm just storing it in there to prevent it to get snagged. So just a hint, when you store it, make sure that you're plugging it in or doing something, wrapping it or something so it doesn't get snagged. So the next thing I'm going to do is hook up my power. So my power cable goes to my power box. We went over that when we took apart my telescope. That plugs in, as I mentioned before, into the declination plate. And then around the corners where aux 3 is. And again, my cable is almost the perfect length. No snags, no nothing. Yeah, not much to that. So plug it in. Make sure you don't forget to plug both these in. If you forget power, obviously nothing up here is going to be powered. All right. So the next thing that I'll plug in, just because I'm seeing it next, is my power cable. So I actually redid this and redid my battery box. I meant to record it, but as I hit the record button, I went and recorded about 20 minutes of video. I stripped off a couple of ends, crimped on a couple of ends, and had the video just about done. When I went to check it, yeah, I had taken a single photo instead of a video. So sorry about that. There are other videos on how to crimp on ends. That's basically what I did. So it's not the most interesting video that you lost anyway. If you're interested in the videos on what ends I'm using, let me know. They are Anderson, Powerpole, and they're from Powerwerx. It's Powerwerx, I believe. I'll put a link in there for just so you don't have to comment. So what I plugged in here is into my right ascension assembly. So this is power from the battery, and you need two separate sources of power. One to power the mount itself, and one to power the auxiliary port on the declination plate. So I had to bring two separate power sources in here. So there's two outlets for it on the battery. Okay, so that's power, so I won't forget that. Next thing I'll do is I'll remove the lens cap and I'll install my dew shield. So this has been a point of contention with me for quite a long time, and I don't have the best solution, but this again is in another bag of mine. And I've got the best I can do. So the problem is my two plates, my Vixen up here, my Los Mandy down here, take up so much room on my telescope or on my OTA that there's not enough bite for the dew shield to grab onto. So when it moves, the dew shield falls off. So what I do is I just loosen these screws, these bolts rather, just enough so I can slide the dew shield under it, and then I tighten them back down. So I've got that for the Los Mandy. There we go. And I've got it for the Vixen. This is the first time I've tried it on the Vixen. Usually I was just doing it on the Los Mandy. So what I'm going to try and do is just stick it in the actual, or under the plate itself, the saddle for the Los Mandy. Let's see how that works. So I know the Los Mandy works, or Los Mandy. So we'll just tighten that down first. Again, I'm not crazy about this solution, but I don't have another one. All right, so now let's see if I can get it in the Vixen. Oh, perfect. Yeah, now we're better than I thought it would. And just tighten that up again. All right. Now I'm just Velcroing it back together. All right, I think that's going to work out much better. Now, as I am using each tool or each bolt, or specifically each Allen key, and I've got a little screwdriver, I'm putting it back in the reusable bag. I've got one in my back pocket. Everything else goes back, and I've got a little green tool bag I got off Amazon somewhere. And I just keep everything together, so when I'm taking it down in the middle of the night, it's easier for me to see. All right, next thing I do is take my finder scope and if I was able to have this stay in focus better, I wouldn't need this, but I can't, and sometimes my stars are so far out of focus that I can't even see them. So I need to use a finder to just get it relatively close, and then I go ahead and use my ASI Air to focus it the rest of the way. Okay, next is the imaging train, and with that, put my focuser on first. So this connector that I'm using right here is called a Baader lock. Cannot recommend it more highly. It is absolutely wonderful. It's eighth of a turn to lock things down. It keeps things right in line. It's super, super strong. I've got a fairly long and heavy train, and I've never had an issue with it at all. So yeah. It's the Baader 2-inch click lock is what this is, to attach to the back port of my OTA. Okay, so for tonight, we're going to be using the monochrome camera with the filter wheel. Yeah, and I wish I had a Baader lock for this, but I don't. Okay. So a couple cables to connect. Got my focuser, then my camera, then power for my camera, and lastly, I've got, again, another reusable plastic bag. Got a couple USB cables. One for my guide and one for my filter wheel. Okay, so that's the basic setup. I'll go through balancing real quick since it only takes a couple seconds. So to balance, usually I just do right ascension first. So I remove the clutch, always hold on to it, release it. See how close I am? See, I'm pretty close. So it's a little heavy to the weight side, so just going to move one of these guys up. It's probably too much. All right, I'm happy with that. Not moving at all. When I release the declination, I always wrap my arm around it and hold it because there's no counterweight for it, and it can go pretty quickly. And when I go to release these to adjust back and forth, which is what I need to do, I'm holding it fairly tight. So it's not that it weighs a ton. You don't have to apply a ton of pressure, but I'm just, because right now, if it goes all the way up, it could slide out and hit the ground. All right, so it is tip heavy, so I need to move it back. Still tip heavy. Now when I'm moving it, I am grabbing the handle with 3 fingers and pushing it with my 4th finger. I usually tilt it a little bit and just nudge it. Actually, that is pretty good. When I tighten it, push it a little bit towards the telescope so you take up any slack. Now you want to kind of give these a firm. All right, I'll take that. It's not moving. And then reset it to home. What I usually do is get below it. I think I'm a little past. That looks good. Then from the front, declination looks good. All right, so that's everything for that part. Got everything from my... Now when I'm in the field, I always at least close my cases. Usually I lock them as well, just in case of dew. I check the dew point. We're not supposed to hit it tonight, but I'm always safer than sorry. So last thing is to grab the battery. Probably should be using side handles instead of manhandling it because the battery does weigh quite a bit. Whatever. Okay. Last. is plugging it in. After I plug it in, turn it on to check it. Okay, got 12.7 on the battery, 13.8 on the voltage regulator. I left my mount on accidentally, but mount's got power, which is good. ASI air's got power, which is good. And my camera's got power, which is good. So now I don't have to worry about it when it's nighttime fighting with anything. Okay, so that's all there is to setting it up. Hopefully you found this informative. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them below. If you liked the video, please smash that like button. That helps out immensely. And if you want to get notified of more videos and you want to subscribe, feel free to hit the subscribe button as well. Thanks so much, and clear skies.